And the rumors will not stop when it comes to Jordan Kyrou being traded.
Hey, this is Bryn Chen. Subscribe to Locked On Blues.
You're Locked On Blues, your daily podcast on the St. Louis Blues. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And welcome back to Locked On Blues. I am your host of Locked On Blues, Haley Taylor Simon, talking to you all things about our St. Louis Blues here in the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Today on Locked On Blues, I am going to be addressing the rumors about Jordan Kyrou potentially being traded and moved. I feel like this is all I talk about now because every single day there's a new rumor or a speculation about what's going to happen with Kyrou. And I felt like I squashed it, right? And then I go on social media and I'm seeing posts from actual NHL insiders such as Chris Johnston, Frank, like all of the different insiders saying that they have heard rumors and rumblings of a few things happening. So I'm doing my research and I get a tweet from a fan of the show and they asked me, what is going on with Kyrou? Is he about to be traded? So I am texting the people that I am connected with because I have different connections within the NHL with my multitude of jobs. And I have a few thoughts on what I heard, on what I researched, and logically speaking, what would be best for the Blues. So I'm hoping that today's episode will bring some clarity because right now, I feel like, and this is just my opinion after all the things I heard, it's clickbait. That's my opinion on this. Jordan Kyrou has a full no trade clause that came into effect July 1st, right? So about a little over a week ago, which restricts any trade from St. Louis afterwards, right? However, while Jordan Kyrou does have a no trade clause, obviously any player that has a no trade clause can waive it. There is no rule on that. So if Jordan Kyrou wanted to be traded, absolutely he could be. If first off the deal was right for the Blues, and secondly if he waived it. But again, and I feel like a great example is actually Claude Giroux, where back a couple years ago he was a Philadelphia Flyer and he only was willing to waive it for the Florida Panthers. And he put the Flyers in a situation where they couldn't really explore the market. And they did get Owen Tippett in return, and maybe he hasn't been the answer that the team needed. They were really restricted. But I said this once, and even I said this with Torrey Krug before he was injured, and fans were upset that he was still on the team. Players have a right to not waive their no trade clause. And ironically, Torrey did not want to waive it for Philadelphia. I don't know why. There's so much connection between St. Louis and Philly, but that's one example. And the reason why I bring up that example on today's episode of LOB is because if a player decides that they do want to waive it, they also have a right to do so just as much as they have a right not to waive it. And I feel like that doesn't get talked about enough because either way, I know how these players get perceived. They're selfish. They're not doing what's best for the team. Well, okay, because we're fans of the team, we're fans of the Blues. But these players, while they do care about the teams that they play for, and I'm sure that they do, they also care about themselves. They want to be able to put themselves in the best possible situation and scenario. So before I continue on, I wanted to throw that little bit of a disclaimer in because I feel like whenever it comes to these no trade clauses, I have to defend the player's decision on not waiving it, on waiving it, or only waiving it for certain teams. They have a right, it is in their contract. Therefore, I feel as if we, the fans, cannot be upset with them. We can be annoyed, absolutely, but we can't be mad at them. It's the general manager's fault for issuing a contract with a no trade clause. So at the end of the day, if there's one person that you should be annoyed with, it's whoever is giving out the contracts. So that is my little bit of a disclaimer. But today, there was something that went down, and that is called social media. NHL insider Chris Johnston reported that the Canadiens made serious inquiries before Kyrou's no-trade clause kicked in. I know what you are thinking. Hale, did this actually have any truth behind it? And yes, it did. A bunch of insiders did confirm it. I did a ton of research on this because at the end of the day, it is really important when rumors come out to be able to back up the rumor. Is somebody just doing this for clickbait, rage bait, or is this something that was actually being pursued? So yes, when I did see the other accounts, and when I said clickbait earlier, I was talking more so about the smaller accounts that are just using it to get clout right now. Obviously, I do trust insiders like Chris Johnston. I mean, he's retweeted me before on my personal account when I interview players. I trust his work 100%. And Chris Johnston went on to speak about this, and he said that a trade remains possible despite the no trade clause, as Kyrou now holds significant control over any move. He also then suggested that Blues' GM, Dougie A, frequently kind of looks at the market and he wants to see the value of key players like Kyrou, similar to past situations with Braden Shen, without trading them. Because remember, there was all of those rumors about Braden Shen being traded. So yes, Doug does have his eyes out on the market. And I don't think Doug would deny that. It's funny, I was watching like NHL Tonight and they did an interview with Doug Armstrong. So I was watching it this morning because they, re-air it. And Doug is transparent and he knows what he is doing. That is one thing I will say about Army is that he knows what he is doing. And I feel like right now, why not keep your eye open? I mean, I am not saying they should trade Kyrou, right? And I will continue to say that. But at the same time, I can look at this from a neutral perspective. And I can say, as a general manager, you should never be closed off to phone calls, anything like that, unless you have a guy like a Connor McDavid or a Matthew Tkachuk. This is a quote from Johnson, by the way, that I want to read to you. And I quote, "There were discussions between the Blues and other teams, specifically the Montreal Canadiens. I think they went pretty far down the road of exploring the possibility of a trade on Kyrou. Ultimately, they did make them you trade. Also, again, don't forget Bolduc, obviously. A player can obviously be traded once this no move kicks in. I think it adds an element, though, and a layer that's harder to maximize the player's value. So that's what I did essentially talk about. I think whoever wrote this article, by the way, because that's where I got this quote from, they spelled his name wrong. They spelled may use name wrong. Huh, interesting. Okay, anyways, another quote. "If you're talking about a Kyrou trade at this stage, that's a talented young player who puts up a lot of points. We're talking about a blockbuster. I wouldn't rule it out, but I do think the percentage likelihood of it happening went down considerably after July 1st. And that is, again, when Kyrou's no trade clause kicked in. So, obviously, I'm scrolling on social media. Okay. I now know the Canadiens had their eyes on Jordan Kyrou and there was some chatter. Okay, fine. All of this information comes out today. And then I continue to scroll throughout social media. And there was also the fact that Elliot Friedman discussed on 32 Thoughts that the Seattle Kraken could trade for Kyrou. And then I thought to myself, oh my goodness, what is happening here? Are all these rumors about Jordan Kyrou just all of a sudden circulating? Like, then there was other teams that have been mentioned, like the Columbus Blue Jackets, the New York Rangers, the Buffalo Sabres. And Columbus, again, was mentioned multiple times in different sources that I was reading. There was also a couple other teams in the Western Conference, like the Flames, the Canucks, and the Red Wings. But for me, I found it really interesting that the Buffalo Sabres declined one offer. It was a reported deal sending Kyrou to Buffalo in exchange for JJ. Was it JJ? Yeah. Wow. I mean, Peterka, I actually do like him. I'm a little bit surprised that this was declined. But yeah, no, that blew my mind. That just came out. Listen, as I'm doing this episode, all of these articles are now coming out, and I'm like, whoa, I'm like kind of live reacting to it. But yes, it was a deal sending Kyrou to Buffalo in exchange for JJ Peterka. It was rejected by the Sabres, who view Peterka as untouchable. So it looks like Buffalo is going to be out on the rumors. So congratulations, Buffalo. Just like you're out of the playoffs every single season, you're out on the Kyrou rumors. Did I need to say that? Did I need to roast them like that? I don't know. Anyways, I am going to continue talking more about these rumors coming up, but that is kind of the gist of it. And then we're going to dive into some other things. But first, I want to tell you about my friends. I have a ton of friends, but I have a really good friend. And that really good friend is my friend at FanDuel. Summer sports are in full swing, and whether you're all about baseball under the lights, golf on the green, or high stakes soccer action, FanDuel is the best way to make every game more exciting. You're already following the action, so why not make it a little bit more thrilling? With FanDuel, you can get in on the game while your friends are getting sunburnt on the beach. Personally, for me, I love betting on baseball, right? And unfortunately, the game tonight is delayed, okay? I thought the Cards were going to defeat the Nationals today after they lost 11-0 to the Cubs on Sunday. It was a brutal series loss. They did get one game in a win. But yes, today's game is delayed weather. But I do think, even if there is a doubleheader tomorrow, I do think either way, the Cards are going to take this series, okay? So I still say game one of the series against the Nationals, you got to bet it on the Cardinals. But besides me being a little bit biased towards my Cards, new customers can bet just $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if your first bet wins. Open the FanDuel app today or visit FanDuel.com to get started. So let's talk more about these Kyrou rumors because they have been circulating like crazy today. Like, I am not just talking, by the way, the national media. I'm talking about like independent media sites. Like, every single person on social media at one point has been talking about Kyrou. So again, thank you for recognizing how good of a player that he is. I just don't understand it. I don't understand why necessarily this is being talked about now, unless there's been some leaks from his agent. I don't know. Like, that is the crazy thing about it. I feel like at this moment, right, it would not make sense to trade Kyrou. He is a player that put up 70 plus points last season. He also had 3+ seasons of scoring 30 plus points. So I just don't understand why they would want to move him. I feel like right now, I get that the Blues don't have the best cap space situation, but this is a great contract, right? And again, right now, I'm seeing social media divided over what to do with Kyrou. I mean, and let's also talk about it. If you're able to trade Kyrou, as Chris Johnson said, for a blockbuster player trade scenario, maybe, just maybe, I would take a listen. But right now, I'm looking at a lot of these teams, and I feel like this trade would be Jordan Kyrou for a bunch of AHL guys. Like, I'm sorry, and I'm not trying to disrespect the Canadians, but I don't feel like they would give the Blues anyone good in return. That's not blockbuster. Just because you're willing to send a bunch of players does not mean that it's a blockbuster trade. It means that it's a bunch of nonsense to make it look better on paper. What's blockbuster to me is, and I know I talk about the Kachuk brothers all the time, but like that would be a blockbuster, a big name. Like even if we're talking about our friends in Edmonton and McDavid, well, I know that I'm not saying Kyrou's worth Connor McDavid by any means. I'm just saying that it would be a big name at least. I have a really difficult time trying to understand why Blues fans think that this would benefit the team to get rid of Kyrou. Because we know we're not going to be getting like a Quinn Hughes, a McDavid. I mean, I could go on and on about all the really good players in the NHL. I'm not going to even do that right now because they're not coming here. I have not seen a single name of a player worth trading for. I'm hearing all the right, keywords such as blockbuster, big potential move. No, there is nothing. The Blues have great goalies. And why did I bring that up? Because there's a lot of teams in the NHL that actually struggle with having a solid goalie tandem, okay? And a lot of teams are desperate for goalies. So if the Blues were in a situation where they didn't have two solid goalies, I know they just extended Joel Hofer. Okay, I could understand that. Listen, goalies, and I said this once and I'll say it again, I'm going to stand behind it. They win you games in the playoffs. That's what gives you basically the Stanley Cup, in my opinion. But the Blues have solid goalies. The Blues got better on defense. The Blues are fine offensively. This is a better team than they were a year ago. A much better team. And Jordan Kyrou, I mean, he's a top 6 forward for a reason. He has a no trade clause, as I've mentioned, that just kicked in 8 days ago. So for me, I'm having a really hard time understanding why these rumors are happening right now. I thought in yesterday's episode of Locked On Blues, I addressed it time and time again. That's all I'm doing is addressing rumors about Jordan Kyrou. I feel like that's all I've been talking about because that's all I'm seeing. I promise you, there are more interesting things about the St. Louis Blues than rumors about Jordan Kyrou. But there has to be some truth behind it, right? Why now? And if it is a trade with the Canadiens, as we just had a trade with the Canadiens, notice how all of our moves have, like, big moves have been with, like, Canadian teams, ironically. But either way, I just don't really want anybody that's on the Canadiens. And I'm not going to go over the Canadiens roster and do the what if because I don't think, honestly, and I'm not trying to be rude, I don't think it's worth trading Kyrou for any of those guys right now. I really don't think that. I don't think the Blues would get a fair return. And I said that already. I am saying now people talking about the Sharks media, saying that they have interest in Jordan Kyrou and that he would be a perfect winger for Celebrini. This is nonsense. This is absolute nonsense that I am seeing. I don't get by any means why the Canadian fans are pulling this narrative. It's done. It is done. I don't want any single person on the Canadiens right now. I don't. Okay? I don't. If you were to tell me, like a guy like Bushi, and I like Bushi, right? But maybe I would be a little bit more open-minded to that. But I just really like Jordan Kyrou. I mean, again, I like Nick Suzuki. And what I'm saying about the Canadiens and how I don't want any of them, I don't want any of them in the sense that I would have to trade Jordan Kyrou. Now, I know how talented of a player Patrick Lane is, Cole Caulfield. You don't have to tell me twice. I know that. Brendan Gallagher, like, again, I don't think the Canadians have this bad team, right? That's not the point. But when I'm seeing names like an Oliver Kapanen being mentioned, I'm sorry, Jordan Kyrou does not equate to that. Now, if you said to me, Hale, we will give you Patrick Lane, Cole Caulfield, Noah Dobson. No, I'm joking. But like you get the point. Sammy, I forgot Sammy. Oh. But yeah, the point is that Lane Hudson, could you imagine? Now that would be a blockbuster. If you're willing to give me like all the best players on the Canadians for Kyrou, that's different. But I'm sorry. I'm going to stick to my gut. And you might laugh at me right now and say, Haley, come on, be so for real. But when Jordan Kyrou scored 36 goals last season, ranked 16th in the NHL amongst all players, yeah, I'm going to be defensive over him. I feel like I'm always defending Kyrou, and I'm not a Kyrou apologist. People say that I like him because I had good interactions with him. That is not why. I've had great interactions with hundreds at this point, hundreds of players that I've interviewed and talked to. Doesn't mean I think they're all good players. Trust me. That's not how this works. But what I can say is Kyrou is able to back his game up. He is. Again, I want these rumors to just go away. Like, I think we're kind of not talking about something today that happened that I am excited about. And I know, Haley, way to switch topics because I'm sick of it. I am sick of all of these teams trying to leech off of the Blues. I had to deal with this last year with the Edmonton Oilers fans who were insufferable when it came to the offer sheets with Broberg and Holloway. Be upset at your own team. Do not be upset with the Blues. The Blues did the smart move. And then in the playoffs, when the Blues got eliminated, the Oilers fans, oh, where was Dylan Holloway? Recovering, okay? He was injured, surgery. Give me a break. It's always something. And then they say, oh, well, Holloway's injury prone. Okay, shut up. Like, I am not trying to be rude, but at some point, toxic fan bases, now I'm not saying all Oilers fans are toxic if I don't come at me, but there are some fan bases that can be a little bit toxic. And right now with the Canadians, I'm not calling them toxic because I think Edmonton is just a different level. But we don't need these rumors. It is July 8th. It's going to be a long off season. We just finished development camp. Let's focus on the young guys, the prospects, the potentials. You guys have Zachary Bolduc right now, who is a great, great player, one of my favorite players. Enjoy him. Please enjoy him. Focus on that, not these ridiculous rumors about Jordan Kyrou. Anyways, as I was saying, so there was a projected Olympic roster for Team Canada today. And guess who made the list? Well, he was the last forward to make the list, but guess what? I don't care. Robert Thomas made the list. That is right. It is RT season, baby. Robert Thomas to the Olympics. No, well, it's not official, but like it looks like it's going to happen. And there's some really great names on this list. Obviously, you have like a Sam Bennett and Nathan McKinnon, Brad Marchand, Mitch Marner, McDavid, Braden Point, Mark Stone, Nick Suzuki, Mark Scheifele. Like there's so many great players on this list offensively. Then I'm looking at the defense. Okay. Scrolling. Colton Parayko. Woo! Colton Parayko, baby. There's guys like Evan Bouchard, Thomas Harley, Cale Makar, Josh Morrissey, Colton Parayko, Shea Theodore. And then I'm looking at goalies. I am looking at goalies, and the projected starting goalie for Team Canada is Jordan bleeping Binnington. That is right. When it comes to forwards, defense, and goalies, the St. Louis Blues have a player in every single category, and so do the Vegas Golden Knights. So I guess we're the new Vegas Golden Knights. No, but this is awesome. I love this so much. I mean, again, Thomas deserves this. I am the biggest Robert Thomas fan. We know that. So for me to see his name on this list made me incredibly happy. He is finally getting the recognition that he does deserve. And again, I am a Robert Thomas apologist. Like, he can do no wrong to me. But no, in all seriousness, I was really happy to see that. And then I'm scrolling on, again, Instagram. And I'm just scrolling, minding my own business. And baby, oh baby, you know what I see? Projected Olympic roster for Slovakia. And guess who is ranked number 1? Take a guess. Think of all the guys on our team that are from Slovakia. Well, not a lot because it's 1. And that is Dvorsky. That is right. He is ranked number 1 for Slovakia. I am so excited to see this. Dvorsky. Oh my goodness. And we all know how excited I am to see him play and continue to grow. So it was a really good day for our guys in blue. I also went down a rabbit hole today of watching highlights of Tarasenko, 91 for life. You know what's funny about that? Like, I always forget, like, maybe like when he was drafted 16th overall, right? And that draft felt like forever ago. But when it comes to Vladdy, he was one of my favorites, right? And he's been moved all around. Obviously, he won another cup with the Panthers. But the point is that do you ever find yourself on YouTube, maybe looking up a video or watching a clip of something relevant to you at this moment, and then an hour later, you're down a rabbit hole of watching like random clips of players of the past? I feel like I do that all the time. And it's like the most ridiculous thing because I was like, wait, why am I watching highlights of Vladdy? Like, I was watching when he got his 500th point as a blue, and I'm like, wait, Hale, you need to do some more podcast research. You do not need to be watching these clips. But for me, I found enjoyment within it. During the summer, I feel like I have more free time. And what do I do in my free time? I watch hockey clips because I miss hockey so desperately. But I was not expecting today to make another video addressing all of the Kyrou rumors. So I'm hoping, please, just stop. The only rumors I want to hear are when the new sweaters of the new notes will be dropped, because I have been waiting, which is why I ordered a custom one. And yes, it's a Robert Thomas one, obviously. He's my favorite player on the team. So, like, I know, shocker, my favorite player is Robert Thomas, as my bio on Twitter says, Robert Thomas season. But even though today's episode, I did address some of the things that annoyed me, I'm also glad I got to talk about the good news about Robert Thomas and Dvorsky, Colton Parayko, and Binner, and all getting recognition. The Blues have a really solid team. And despite what maybe you think, I think that there is a lot of hope and potential for this team to go on a cup run this upcoming season. All right, I will talk to you all tomorrow. And like always, let's go Blues.